Rabbi. Hi, Rabbi. Hi, Rabbi. Hi, Rabbi. Hi, Rabbi. Hi.
We're among the thousands of Jewish New Yorkers who've been out door knocking and phone banking to elect Zohran Mamdani.
We know Zohran will fight to make our city affordable and safe for our families. As Jews, as rabbis, as New Yorkers, we believe that all people deserve to thrive. Zohran agrees.
I'm not quite sure which one of those, or some of those people were men. I don't know. Eyal, let's start with you. Do you think the Jewish community in New York has been so captured by the far left that many of them will actually vote for this guy?
I at first, when I saw that video, thought that it was either Andrew Cuomo or Curtis Sliwa's campaign releasing a video as an attack ad on Zohran Mamdani because it was so hilarious how pathetic it was. And you look at the recent polling, I believe it's less than 10% of Jewish New Yorkers are voting for Zohran Mamdani. So I think this is just another pathetic attempt at whitewashing his long history of anti-Semitism, of anti-Hindu, of anti-white bigotry. And this is just the next in line for where he tries to obfuscate from his seriously dark history of supporting terrorism, supporting jihad, of supporting anti-American values overall.
Matt, I know you've been keeping a close eye on the race and you're talking to people up in New York. What are you hearing?
Well, first on the point you were just making, that group that made that ad, Jews for Racial and Economic Justice, is one of the most radical far-left groups that exists in New York City and around the country. And the people who are in that, by the way, are about as Jewish as a bacon triple cheeseburger. And look, I think that at the end of the day, I'm sorry for our Newsmax colleagues in New York City who might be needing to get out of there because it looks like Zohran Mamdani is going to win. And one thing, honestly, to further contextualize this, we were talking about with Ilhan Omar and Chuck Schumer. I think everyone obviously knows that Schumer shut the government down because he is afraid of a primary from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This is honestly, at this point, just a fact. But I think the other thing that's interesting is at this point, the government shutdown is almost certain to go through Tuesday's elections, and it's very possible that Schumer is doing this as well to distract from the criticism that he would otherwise have gotten from the left for not endorsing Zohran Mamdani. And Tom, you're totally right to note that every single Democrat, pretty much of stature, has gotten in line behind Zohran Mamdani, and it kind of makes me wonder if we always knew Hakeem Jeffries was going to do this because he's afraid for his own primary as well in 2026. I don't know what finally pushed him over the edge, but he got in line, and you saw Republicans immediately made a giant issue about this for Democrats across the country.
There is this culture of fear, I think, that has really developed within the Democratic Party because so many traditional liberals are terrified, utterly terrified of the power and the money of the socialist wing of the party. Eyal, if Mamdani does win, how do you see him impacting life in New York the most?
I think it's to be seen. Look, President Trump said that he will not provide federal funds to any of the ridiculous policies that Zohran wants to pass. I also think that a Zohran victory will ultimately prove that Stefanik will become the next governor of New York, and then you have an interesting balance where you have a communist running the biggest city in New York, let alone the biggest city in the country, and you have a Republican governor of the state who will probably not be giving funds or allowing for certain policies to take place. And I think it's an interesting point that Ilhan Omar said that historically speaking, when there's a Democrat nominee, that everybody falls in line. And I think it's interesting to note that MAGA is frequently accused of being a cult, but here you have Ilhan Omar lambasting Chuck Schumer for not endorsing someone who has next to zero values, is what the historic Democrat Party is. But I think moving forward, we might see a very different Democrat party in terms of values if Mamdani does win.
People think news just happens. It doesn't. It happens because there's someone there to capture the moment, to explain it and share it. That's my job. I go where news breaks and give you the facts. Join me for The Record on Newsmax.